And they perceived that he had seen a vision in the temple, for he beckoned them to remain speechless. So it was, soon as the days of his service were complete, that he departed not to his own house. But he departed to his own house. Sorry.
Now after those days his wife Elizabeth conceived, and she hid herself 5 months, saying, Thus the Lord has dealt with me in the days when he looked on me, to take away my reproach among people. Now in the 6th month the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a city of Galilee named Nazareth,
to a virgin betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David. The virgin's name was Mary. And having come in, the angel said to her, Rejoice, highly favored one. The Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and considered what manner of greeting this was.
Then the angel said to her, Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. And behold, you will conceive in your womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Jesus. He will be great, and will be called the Son of the Highest, and the Lord God will give him the throne of his father David.
And he will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and his kingdom there will be no end. Then Mary said to the angel, How can this be, since I do not know him? And the angel answered and said to her, The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the highest will overshadow you. Therefore also the Holy One who is to be born will be called the Son of God.
Now indeed Elizabeth, your relative, has also conceived a son in her old age. And this is now the 6th month for her, who is called barren. For with God nothing will be impossible. Then Mary said, Behold the maidservant of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word. And the angel departed from her.
Amen. Thank you. We've heard those stories before. Did anything new, or what jumped out at you as we read that text just now?
They were supposed to keep it secret.
Yeah.
For some reason I didn't catch that before.
Uh-huh. Yeah, how do you keep a pregnancy, 6 months?
Yeah, especially if you're old.
Yeah.
I mean, what was considered old then?
She hid herself 5 months, saying, Thus the Lord has dealt with me in the days, take away my reproach. Yeah, I wonder why she hid herself.
There's a show on television that I look at every day. And right now they're showing, I don't know if you've heard of it, Why the Nativity?
No.
You've heard of that? Okay, it's on the Trinity Broadcasting Network and the TBN. And it's on at 4 o'clock. And the one who produced it is Dr. David Jeremiah. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
You haven't heard of him?
No.
Oh my goodness. He's like, like another Billy Graham. Well, he's not another Billy Graham, but he's good. And if you really, I would suggest, and it does really go by the Bible, and they're enacting all of this. So all of this I looked at yesterday, just what we read, they're acting like. And I mean, you know, it's not what really probably happened. I mean, it is according to the Bible. They're trying to enact it. So it's going to be on today again at 4, and might be an hour, a half hour. It's usually a half hour, but it might be an hour.
What-
Yes.
What were you thinking about when you were watching it? What stood out to you?
Nothing, because I hadn't read it in the Bible until now.
Right, yeah.
You know.
Cool.
So.
Yeah.
But, they showed Elizabeth and they showed Mary coming to her, and just basically what we were reading here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any thoughts that stood out?
And they showed Joseph, and I find it really interesting. And I recommend him because he does go by the Bible, and his big thing is when Jesus comes, well, he says we're going to be caught up, but he calls it, now through my mind is going, what does he say? The disappearance, people are just going to evaporate and, go up to be with Jesus. He talks a lot about that. In fact, I have a book about it. And, but in the Bible, I'm trying to think of the word that he says.
Rapture.
Rapture. Right. We're going to be raptured, but rapture is not in the Bible. The word rapture. It's in the Bible. It says caught up.
Caught up,
Caught up.
What up? Thank you. What were you saying?
And I mean, we don't know when that's going to happen, but the way things are looking.
They've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, they've been saying it, but
2,000 years.
Yeah. Even in Jesus' time, they expected Jesus to come back any day.
yeah.
Leave that chair
Yeah.
back.
Yep.
But,
Well, I think for many years, Victorian before, it was not something you showed that you were pregnant. I know in Victorian times they called it you were unwell.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, it was not, and you didn't even come out, I mean, it was not a thing that you showed you were pregnant,
Yeah.
So
interesting.
I'm sure it wasn't a surprise
Yeah.
that as a woman, you just
Yeah.
hid it. You had so many cloaks, and it would have been easy to hide, but, well, you think about it, even in the 40s and 50s,
And 60s.
yeah, if our parents if anyone had a miscarriage, you never talked about it.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
Yeah.
It
That's hard.
wasn't the same as now.
Yeah.
And maternity clothes were maternity clothes that hid the body.
Wow.
Now they do.
No, I
Oh,
don't.
no, yeah, right.
Wow.
Sure. But what struck me is I didn't remember that Zacharias was mute.
That's the best part.
I
Yeah.
did not remember
That's
that.
the best part.
I know. Can you imagine being like, uh-oh, I did it now. Yep, I'm done.
And when does he get his voice back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I love that he gets his voice back when he confirms his wife, like, yeah, his name is John.
Yep.
Like,
Okay.
listen to my wife. Why aren't you listening to my wife?
I'd be pregnant all the time to make my husband quiet.
Yeah.
I'm just glad it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, but you're not too old.
Ah,
I don't. It said she had been trying for a long time. Did it say?
Yeah,
Did it say how old Elizabeth was?
We'll just say she's elderly or
Old.
I thought it was interesting about
He's
the
also well along in years.
well along in years. Yep.
I'm an old man and she's well along in years.
Yeah. There you go. I thought also with the hiding herself, the next, she's saying, "Thus the Lord has dealt with me in the days when He looked on me to take away my reproach from people." I thought that was kind of beautiful and interesting. Sad that she would have reproach, like, a woman shouldn't be judged whether or not she's had a baby or not. But I like that she says that God has looked on me. Maybe she felt like people were looking over her, or not seeing her anymore, or disdaining her. But her in verse 25, giving praise that God looked on me and then take away my reproach. I think it's nice when God looks on us. It's not just to use us, but it's also to heal us in whatever way we need. It seemed like for her, she needed healing around this, taking away the social stereotypes or pressure that she was experiencing. Yeah. Makes me think about what we need God to take away from us. Not the sins that we need taken away, but also the burdens that we carry. What else stood out in the text? Anyone else struck by anything else? So I also loved that Mary and Elizabeth had each other. I thought that was really nice. We just talked about how we feel the strength comes from being in a group. I imagine if just one of them went through this, it would be feeling kind of lonely. but they had each other, and I think that was by design. I think that was, John could have been a few years older than Jesus, could have still baptized them and prepared the way, but instead he was only 6 months older.
Yeah.
And so they had each other to be pregnant with and talk about. And even though she was hiding it, the angel told her, you're not alone. Go see about your cousin. And not only that, nothing is impossible with God. It's like you probably are questioning or worried or afraid, but let me tell you about someone who you can walk through this with, and also let me tell you that it's a miracle, that she shouldn't even be allowed to have a baby, but nothing is impossible with God. Does that bring up anything for any of y'all?
There's another part where it's actually, when Mary says, "Behold the maidservant of the Lord, let it be to me according to your word," where she's very, excited about this, and I'm thinking, okay, Mary's 12, probably. Personally, I'd be mortified.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how is she supposed to explain this to Joseph,
Right.
It's, I don't know if I would be that rejoiceful.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
I think she got to that at the end.
She did. I know, but I'm just thinking, at that moment, she seems pretty okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the beauty of Scripture. You can read it as, "Behold, the maidservant of the Lord," or "Behold, the maidservant of the Lord.
Yeah.
Here I am.
That's how you read it.
Let it be to me according to your word."
Every time you read it, it means a different thing also.
Sure.
Yeah.
It hits you in a different place.
Yeah. That's why the text is alive, the living word.
It hits you where you need to be.
Yep. So I wonder what it means that it hit you this time as excited, even though.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it kind of hearing about it earlier in my years, it seemed that way, but now, when I'm realizing, she was 12. She was just a kid, that was normal back then.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's kind of becoming normal again.
Well, in many societies, it was never abnormal.
I know.
So it's just kind of here.
So, I don't know.
How do?
As a parent, it just kind of troubles me.
Yeah. Let's put ourselves in Elizabeth and Mary's shoes. What are we feeling? What are they feeling? How would we feel if we were in the same shoes? So let's start with Elizabeth. What is Elizabeth feeling? And then how would you feel if you were Elizabeth?
Oh, my husband's not talking to me. Oh,
All right.
The same thing.
gee, it's his fault. Oh,
You're
Uh-huh.
very blessed to have a child finally.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's
Elizabeth,
it.
if you've really been hoping for that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think you'd have to be a little, even though financial things were very different, it would have to be, that's a big responsibility
Mm-hmm.
that I'm now going to have.
How will I send him to college?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
figuring
just
out the
everything.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you think she was still hoping, or had she given up on hope?
Depending on how, I think you probably gave
But
up.
the real aspect to all of this, because I'm older, and I think of what has to happen for you to get pregnant. And the thing is, when you're older,
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm too young for this.
and I don't know, you would think, I don't have a relationship with my husband, how did this happen? At my age.
Yeah.
With Mary, it's worse.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
I'm
there's
80,
flip,
and
yeah.
at my age,
Yeah.
at 80,
Mary probably had to deal with a lot of shame.
Yeah. Very different.
Yeah, right, yeah, you can't,
Which is where you hand it to Joseph,
Right.
doing what he did.
For not divorcing her, yeah.
But that comes later.
yeah, it's later.
What it says, he had it in his mind to divorce her quietly, but then the angel came and said, "Don't fear." I think for Mary, probably a lot of fear. At first, I mean, the angel says, you know, don't be afraid. Anytime an angel shows up, the angel's first thing is always, don't be afraid. So we can imagine that angels are a little scary, just popping up sometimes. And then, you know, she's questioning. She doesn't really believe it. She says, how can this be since I am not with a man? I think this all says a lot about hope. Let's take it outside of just babies. Let's just think about, like, what do we hope for now? What have we hoped for and given up on? Like, what have we stopped hoping for anymore? And then, is it okay to start questioning and saying, like, how can this be? Even maybe when God is saying, you know my promises. So I'm getting to the point with anxiety that it's just like, okay, like, how many times do I have to go around in the merry-go-round, God? How can I keep hoping? But for you, I guess the first question is, what are you hoping for now? And the second question is, has there been anything that you hoped for that you kind of just gave up on?
Aren't we instructed never to give up hope?
Sure.
I mean, it's like, no matter what, I mean.
No, I feel pretty blessed.
I don't think I
That's awesome.
can't imagine what I would give. I can't imagine something that I've ever given up on, or
Yeah.
that I think I'm giving up on.
You might be directed in a different direction,
Yeah,
but
sure.
giving up is just
Not an option.
well, basically, it isn't.
I love that.
Just pray for my children
Yeah.
all the time to be saved, and how can I witness to them? The hardest thing that I have to do is to witness to them. And I want to do it because, I want them to be caught up. And that concerns me. Because I see, we went to church all of our lives, brought our children to church, and now they're not going to church,
Right.
you know?
That's that generation we lost.
But it doesn't always mean that they're not there.
Yeah,
You know,
oh, yeah.
just because
My
they're not
one son, he
physically.
goes once in a while,
Yeah, well,
Just
well,
pray for them to be
you
saved.
just, yeah, you never
Yeah,
give
keep
up.
praying all the time.
I
The
think
good-
being saved is one thing, but being a churchgoer is kind of like what you can be saved without going to church every week.
Absolutely.
The fellowship of the church is just a plus,
Yeah, right.
but
Yeah.
you can be saved without going to church.
Yeah.
Remember
Oh,
that,
yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
am saved.
I know
Right.
that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And your example is your example. And that's what they know.
That's what it is.
They know.
It's also not all on you. The good
No.
thing is that God also really wants your children
Yeah.
to be in relationship with God. It's not, God isn't trying to do an, gotcha, or aha, you didn't follow this. God is working on their hearts.
God has to work on me too, to do the
On all
things that
of
I
us, huh?
want to give them some things, and I haven't done it, and I need to do it. And whether I give them a book and they're gonna read it or not, and make sure they have the Bible.
Yeah. But let that be God's work. I think it's good for you to pray. It's
Yeah.
good for a mother to want that. It's good for anyone to want that for someone else.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's something you have to give to God. Say,
Mhm.
God is the one that works on people's hearts.
All kind of strayed, but one cool thing about God is he'll always take you back,
Yeah.
So that's the cool part about it. It doesn't hold it over you, it's just kind of, all right, you're back,
Yeah.
stay.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I think God's leading you back, trying to put things in your life that would try to nudge you back to God.
Yeah.
What else do we hope for?
What's your definition of hope?
Well, let's get into that, yeah. How would you define hope? Is hope present in our contemporary society? So what is what's your definition of hope?
What's yours? I asked you first.
I think it's believing something will happen, really hoping it will, really wanting it to happen, something that isn't happening right now. I think it's connected to my belief and faith that I'm not going to have hope for something if I don't think it's going to happen. But it is it's a gray zone because it's like it hasn't happened. It needs my hope. It needs some type of belief or longing. I guess I would define it as longing, believing, wanting something. How would you define it?
Well, I look at it as the assurance of things that we don't know about,
Yeah.
that we can't see.
Yeah.
What is that, Sue? Hope is the,
Yeah, I'm trying to put it all together,
Yeah.
it's
And the
slipping
things
out of my mind.
unseen.
yeah. And it ends with the assurance of things not seen. Hope is
Yeah,
belief maybe in something.
faith. Faith is belief in the unseen.
Okay. But if you don't have hope, this is a dark and dismal place.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be children of light.
Yeah. Can we not just focus on hope being a future thing? Like, I hope that something will happen in the future. Because you're right. If you don't have hope, life is hard. Life is really hard. So I'm imagining hope now, like in the present moment, not just something. I'm not just hoping for something to happen in the future, but I'm anchoring my hope. I hope in Jesus. I hope in the Lord. I hope that right now, here and now, in this moment, God's going to be with me. God's going to carry me.
Hope
Is that-
is sometimes not giving up. You've got a situation that's the hope it works out, but it's also having that hope that it will work out is not giving up on it.
Yeah. How do you not give up though? It sounds like we're not giver-uppers, but it's hard. How do you?
For me, it all comes down to thy will be done. No matter what I ask for, what I want, what I do,
Yeah.
it's thy will be done.
Yep.
I'm just hoping I like what's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if not, oh well.
Oh, well.
And that's what Mary said. Behold the maidservant of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word. It also takes some pressure off too, if God's will is going to be done either way. Did it require Mary and Elizabeth to have hope for this to happen? If they didn't have as much hope, or how much hope did they need? Did God help them with their hope? Like, how much of this was God doing it, and how much of it was according to their own hope?
Well, is that hope or faith?
I was
I
gonna
mean,
say, they have
you know,
a lot of
it's
faith.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they had to have faith
Yeah,
that
Mhm.
it was going to be okay.
yeah,
They could hope it was going to be okay, but I think they had to have faith
yeah.
and believe
Yep.
that,
I hope God's got this covered.
Yeah.
There you go.
right.
You explained it to Joseph.
Yeah.
Right.
Not me.
And the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of faith to do what we've done. More for Mary than Elizabeth, though. Yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I want to go to the last two questions. What promises of God have you seen fulfilled in your life? Do you have any testimonies? God makes a lot of promises, made promises to Mary and Elizabeth, made promises to you. What promises have you seen fulfilled, and what promises are you still waiting to see fulfilled?
For me, it's definitely sobriety for 30 years.
Amen.
And for Jim to have 35 is also remarkable.
Yeah,
To have that fulfilled in our life is pretty neat.
yeah,
We have some family members we'd like to see be sober, so that's, I guess, what I'm hoping for other fulfillment. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. That's good. I also have that same testimony. There's something in me that maybe feels like panicking, and for a few years of my life I would panic and turn to drugs, and I don't do that anymore. I panic and now I pray and just rest and just wait on the Lord, so that God got me away from substances. Doesn't mean it's easy to go through life. There's still, it's still hard feelings come up, but it's just nice not to be in a destructive cycle or a cycle of dependence. So yeah, it's the promise. Can we think of a promise that connects to sobriety? Because I know it's in the
life
Bible.
I have today
Amen. I love that.
wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. Amen. What promises have you guys seen fulfilled in your life?
I think it was when I'm trying to think of the difference. My father had passed away of cancer, and I was right before I had gotten married. And so right that following year, my mother was diagnosed with colon cancer. And I just remember thinking, I think that was the one, like praying out loud, you know what? And I remember being angry. I can't handle losing two parents right now.
Right.
So you know what? You're just going to have to do something.
Yeah.
And I remember leaving the hospital, and I went back to my mother's and cleaned her house. It's nervous energy, and I remember thinking, it can't be,
Yeah.
I can't. And she lived to 98 and did not die of colon cancer.
Praise God.
So, yeah, it happens.
Mm.
Now, it could have been that it wasn't, but, I think that was purely,
Yeah.
Recording in progress.
I think the one thing I pray for now is my sister's neighbor, the family that, it's only been now over a year. Yeah, it's 2 years. It's a year. It's 2 years this Christmas that they had the fire,
Yeah.
and my sister survived, and her son, and the girl that lived next door that lost the 2 children, her husband and the dogs,
Yeah.
is living there.
Wow.
But Christmas has to be the heart,
Yeah.
But luckily, she has family and friends and is able to talk about it.
Mm.
I think, and I pray for that poor child that's left,
Yeah.
the oldest son. And Carol said that they are very close. And she has openly said, I cannot be here at Christmas.
Right.
The whole family goes to Florida and they stay somewhere. She said, I can't be here now. And hopefully someday.
I remember that day and I get sad.
Oh,
I
yes.
do.
Yes.
Because it was a Sunday.
It was Christmas
Yeah,
morning.
Sunday.
Yes.
It was a Sunday.
Yes, it was
Mm.
Christmas morning. So, yeah, I do. I just pray for that. How, as a young woman, you deal with that
Yeah.
whole thing, But she's a strong woman.
Some churches have blue Christmas.
What's that?
It's how long it was.
They were like 8 and 10, and the boy
Okay.
that's there is about 14 now, and 16.
I know I pray for my family all the time for keep them safe from fire.
Anything, you know.
My
You never know what it's gonna be.
No, but you know, I pray for her every day. You know, that's gotta be the hardest thing.
Yeah.
You know, but I guess she has strength and faith and,
Yeah.
you know, support, so,
And people praying for her.
yes.
And people praying,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure she has good days and bad.
Well, God's still working on me, so I don't know.
Do you know you left soon?
Love Zoom. Yeah, my thing was it keeps on coming back and on and off. So I'm recording on my own computer. It's the Wi-Fi.
Recently, the whole thing with Asa going on, he's much better than he was. I mean, it was very scary there for a minute,
Yeah.
really touch and go. You know what he was going to do.
Mm.
And spirits are better, but not where they need to be, but
Recording in progress.
so I've been praying on it, and he's actually, I said, you know, actually on my way over here, I was talking to him, I said, well, you know, try prayer. He's like, I actually have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes a bad situation can turn itself into a better situation, not
Yeah.
necessarily a good situation, but better.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's young, so he's always going through a learning experience. But it's just still very tough for him right now. You know, especially since the girlfriend's not talking to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Bible says in all things God is working for the good.
Yeah.
What's the rest of it then?
For those who love the Lord.
Thank you. That makes a difference.
Yeah. You know, turning things that are negative and bad in our lives, somehow turning it, you know, for a positive.
Try to.
Yeah.
Some days are harder than others.
Yeah. Does anyone else have anything to share before we pray?
You forgot the other one, Christmas.
What's that?
Yeah, let's do the Christmas one. How might you experience the hope of God in a deeper way this Christmas? And how might you share this hope with others? In this Advent season, how can we experience the hope of God deeper? How can we share that?
Well, for me, my kids are older. And I started cleaning the house thinking I was going to decorate. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to decorate. This year, they're really not into presents. I'm fine with that. I'm thinking maybe we need to go in a different direction.
Mm.
So maybe I can get them back into the Lord, maybe not. But I decided, you know what, I'm not going to put up a tree and all that because that's not what Christmas is.
Yeah.
I want to focus on what Christmas is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I am.
I love that. Yeah. Mm. What is Christmas for you?
Oh, it's the birth of Jesus. It's the bringing of the Lord to us. It's
Yeah.
this gift from above that is
Yeah.
ours, that is tangible.
Mm.
And there's rock solid proof.
Mm.
This here, you guys aren't believing, here you go.
Yeah.
So it's more of the rejoicing and just really deeply thinking and focusing back and to, the fact that the Lord is, we're celebrating the birth of the Lord, not Christmas and all of the commercial stuff about it, not Rudolph, not all that other stuff that
Right.
comes with it. I'm focusing more on what it means.
How can you share that with your family in a way they'll hear? Because I know sometimes people read like a few verses and in the morning or in the afternoon or whatever. Sometimes people give testimony about what it means to them, but how can you share that in a way that they'll hear it?
I think it's more of how I'm demonstrating it
Showing it?
by not doing all the other Christmas stuff.
Right, yeah.
That this is where I'm focusing.
Yeah,
And, it's lead and follow.
yeah.
That's kind of where it is.
Nice. Anybody else want to get deeper into hope of God in this Christmas, and how do we share that with others?
Share with our families, what is Christmas? It's giving, I think for a lot of us, it's the gift giving and, celebrations, but, it's the nativity. That's Christmas. That's what Christmas is, but I don't know how much it is anymore. With all that other
It's
stuff,
what you give.
Santa
It's
Claus
what
and.
doesn't matter what's out there.
But it's a time now, I have the Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus out on our lawn, so I said, it's a time when we can share, what Christmas is to us, and hopefully to those who pass our street and see, and I see some houses that do have the nativity scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's how we treat other people. Couldn't imagine not decorating. I love it.
I couldn't imagine either.
I mean, it's just a joy, and share it with others, or I don't know, every little thing,
And it means different. Maybe
Sure,
maybe
each
to you,
thing is yeah.
maybe to you need to decorate. Maybe for Coco she needs not
Absolutely.
to. And
Oh, no.
either
It's
way,
personal.
it means
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yep, it is personal.
Both ways can be deeply
Yep.
meaningful.
I never had a manger. Growing up, we didn't have any decorations, but I never had a nativity.
Yeah.
We had this plastic thing that was this big, and that was it. So I have a few, and I've accumulated them at thrift stores and given them to every kid, so every kid has them. But that's important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And someone gave me a big nativity from the church.
Oh,
That's all, and it's beautiful. It's all, German figures and all, and it's every time I put it out, I think of her.
Yeah.
Someone like to close in prayer?
Val's the best prayer ever. Sure.
All right. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us all here together. We haven't had the chance to really do this. Thank you for having such a nice group where we can have open communication about whatever we need to talk about. Please guide us to really understand the Christmas spirit, what it means, and what we need to get from it, what we need to give from it. Please keep us safe, warm, healthy, and happy. Please show us what we need to do, what we shouldn't do. Whatever we ask from you, that you give it to us however you think we should have it. And in the name of Jesus, amen.
Thank you.
Anybody what?
Re-
Oh,